Ladies and gentlemen, our referee has called a stop to this contest, declaring the winner by knockout and new MMA show! Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting round of and new MMA show. I am your host, Michael Hansen. I do all kinds of official things with microphones because I'm a ring announcer and MMA cage announcer. And I am joined this week, our first episode of 2022. Cheers, boys.
Happy New Year.
I'm joined by my two co-hosts, as I always am, who bring MMA punditry to new heights. Introducing first on the left sides of your screens, all the way from New York, wearing black, wearing the fantastic Pride hat for those of us, or for those of you who cannot see this, Mark Prio. Mark, what's up, buddy?
What up, what up? Spoke before my introduction, but I was taking a sip right as you mentioned the New Year, so it felt like an appropriate time to say cheers. Happy New Year, everyone. Glad we are back. Hope everyone had a good one. I'm officially at the point where I'm like fiending for MMA. So I'm glad next week we're actually previewing real fights, but I'm looking forward to this one. Should be cool.
And joining us on the right side of your screens, all the way from the Sunshine State, the Nicaraguan nightmare, Omar Artola. What's going on, buddy?
You guys see this shirt right here? You see
this?
Oh, baby.
This is a
Omar.
Santa Claus skiing or surfing with skis.
That's dope. I actually like that.
Yeah.
That has basically been my weekend. For the first time, I went in the pool for New Year's.
That's cool.
That's a new experience for me. I'm okay with this. Happy New Year, boys.
That entire shirt you're wearing is a distillation of your being in Florida and Mark being in New York and me being in Michigan. It's just like rubbing it in our faces.
Yeah,
It's 20 degrees here in Michigan. 20.
It was cold at 3 a.m. last
What is
night.
it
Oh,
here?
stop it.
It
It's
is
like 45.
30 here. 30.
Nice. Well, folks, for this first episode of the new year 2022, with there being no show for us to recap and there being no show for us to talk about coming up this weekend, we decided to fill this episode with some fun, somewhat different things. We're going to treat this episode as a preview for the entire year of 2022. We have some very cool and fun talking points and conversation starters to talk about, to argue about, and to digest for you guys, for your listening pleasure. Before we get into any of it, though, I want to remind you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit that bell icon so that you never miss an episode. If you want audio only, we got you. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, follow us on social media at and new MMA show in all the places. So, gentlemen, let us dive first inside the MMA sphere with Omar Artola. Omar, what are the current events this week in MMA?
All right. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Let's get right into it. Joanna has spoken. Joanna has been on Joanna Young Jacek, for those of you who may not have known. But Joanna Young Jacek has apparently resurfaced and is done making Instagram monies and all other kinds of sponsorship monies, because that girl has just been chilling, racking up money just from all her views. But she looks like she wants to come back, and she's called out Wei Lee for her shot back. So
Wow.
I'm kind of okay with that, to be kind of honest with you. So I'm
yeah.
very interested to see how that works out.
That was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Paulo Costa's manager says that Paulo Costa will be returning to middleweight. He said that because it was the UFC knows it was an injury, and that was the reason why. So they fully expect him to return to middleweight.
I take everything Waleed says with a grain of salt, but I saw that too. So
I was gonna say I'm not 100% sold on that yet, but
yeah,
that is the statement.
Guy's a nut job.
Anthony Johnson is still not clear for his Bellator return. Scott Coker was saying that there might be a possibility that he's out for possibly another year.
Oh.
Yeah, but it looks like his he's not going to be cleared by the doctors anytime soon. And they
I think he meant cleared from the legal trouble he got in. What is he dealing with medically?
Anthony Johnson?
Yeah.
Anthony Johnson has been dealing with some medical stuff for a minute now.
Oh,
Yeah, he had some. That was why he pulled out of the fight the last time against what was it? Was it Nemkov or Yoel?
I thought it was because of the legal trouble when he got arrested for the fake ID and whatever the hell it was. Fake credit
No,
card.
oh, I know what you're talking about. No, he's had medical issues for at least the last year now.
Oh, wow. I did not realize
Yeah,
that.
because the reason why is because he hasn't told anybody what's wrong. We don't know what's actually wrong with him. We just know that there's something wrong with him. And Scott Coker hasn't talked about exactly what it is. He said, not to go into it, but he doesn't look like he's going to be back until, maybe months, maybe a year from now.
That sucks.
So I guess, we'll see what happens with him, but I guess we wouldn't expect him back anytime soon. Yoel Romero is basically looking like he's going to come back at 205 potentially. But Scott Coker is looking at him versus Gegard at some point, whether that's at 205 or 185. He's very excited to see to make that happen at some point.
Yes. I didn't
but
hear that.
But it looks like they're trying to do that after the tournament completes itself. And they want to give Yoel some contender fights in the meantime to make sure that he's still title worthy.
okay.
Which I'm also okay with. Last but oh my god, but definitely not least. You guys know I love tea. I love drama. Ariel Helwani and Dylan Dennis.
Oh man,
so Ariel Helwani and Dylan Dennis have always had this like weird hate-love relationship to a certain extent. Dylan Dennis kind of tries to play off of Ariel Helwani's platform and do his I'm the shit kind of shtick that he has. And recently Jake Paul and Dana White were going back and forth about challenges with steroids. We talked about it last week and the cocaine stuff. And then there was another one that went out that was like, involving fighter pay and medicals and, a bunch of stuff that MMA fans and MMA pundits have been talking about for years as to why the UFC doesn't provide all of these like things. And Ariel Helwani kind of retweeted it and was in support of Jake Paul doing all this stuff. And Dylan Dennis apparently called him a bitch as a result. And after this, Helwani just went full Helwani and roasted this kid for like a full hour on Twitter. And honestly, it's kind of brilliant. So I'm going to read the tweets for you guys, and then we'll move on to some fight picks. Guys, if you think life sucks right now, just think you could have begged for 3 years to fight a 0-0 YouTuber and 3 years later still not be popular enough or good enough to even be considered a worthy opponent for him. Imagine that. In other words, you could be Dylan Dennis. Hey guys, follow me real quick and I'll follow you back and pay you 1,000. For fuck's sake, get a grip, Dylan. Who acts like this? Hey guys, if I lose to Jake, I'll retire. Retire from what? Social media? You already don't fight. 3, 2, 1. Before old Dylan Dennis texts me, hey bro, why don't you like me? Like I thought we were cool, bro. Can't wait for the witty tweet reply too. And then he'll call for a truce and then ask me to retweet his tweets every 2 seconds. What a pleasure. Anyway, maybe this will be the year he accepts your challenge, Dylan. I personally hope he does so you can leave us the fuck alone with your stupid tweets and lame social media sills. Save us, Scott Coker. The begging is unbecoming. Please, for the love of God, save us.
Oh my God.
There's one more. How the world looked when Dylan Dennis last fought. No one knew who COVID-19 was. What COVID-19 was. Ben Askren was undefeated in combat sports. Hazmat Chimaev was only 1 year into his pro career. Aljamain Sterling was fighting on the prelims. And Cowboy Cerrone was on a 3-fight win streak. 10-7 Helwani.
Oh man.
Maybe worse. You can't go in freaking harder than that. I mean, my God.
The thing is that he didn't really ever make fun of him. He just said like true things.
Those are all facts. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I can't stand Dylan Dennis, so I'm fucking here for it completely.
Kind of the same. Like the kid's kind of a lame, and he does the McGregor thing without being able to back up almost any of it. He literally had one fight against the can that he was lucky he didn't get punched properly in, because his stand-up is fucking atrocious. But anyway, I thought that was just good for the soul. So there you go. All right, couple of fighter picks, and then we'll get right into this baby. First, we got Joaquin Buckley versus Abdul Razak Hassan is off of the UFC ESPN 32 card on January 15th. Al Hassan withdrew for undisclosed reasons, so that fight's no more. That sucks. That was a good fucking fight. Irene Aldana versus Aspen Ladd is in the works for April 9th. That's going to be a bantamweight fight for those of you who've kind of been noticing Irene or Aspen Ladd might have been jumping recently. Ryan Spann versus Ion Kuntelaba has been added to the February 26th card. Sadiq Youssef versus Alex Caceres.
Wait, I'm sorry. Back up. You said Ryan Spann versus Kutelaba?
Yeah.
Over Kutel. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong person. Continue.
Sadiq Youssef versus Alex Caceres. That is a fantastic fight.
Yeah, that's
like I didn't even know I wanted that fight until I saw that fight.
Yeah,
it's such a good fight. That's in the works for fight night March 12th. And Johnny Walker versus Jamal Hill, also a straight up banger. That could go a million different ways. That was going to be February 19th. And last but definitely not least, in our bare knuckle realm, Julian Night Train Lane. For those of you who are unaware, he is the let me bang, bro. Just let me bang.
Oh, that guy.
My face is I'm waiting to hear who the opponent is. But yes, you got it right.
Versus Platinum Mike Perry.
It is. Wow.
It is. Wow. They made it happen. Whatever nonsense they may have concocted or bamboozled us with that night, it worked. And the fight is
that
set.
The guy who got into? Is that a guy who managed to get into a fight with Mike Perry, like at ringside?
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
So he
just recently
he called Mike Perry a bitch or some kind of crazy shit on the side while Mike Perry was commentating with what's his name? Mark, you know who I'm talking about.
I actually don't remember who he was with.
Chris Lytle commentates at
I didn't even remember that's who he was with.
So he's talking to him or whatever, and Lane just like chucks a card or a paper at him, or might have been a flyer, and pops him right in the face. Mike Perry looks at Chris Lytle like, this shit really happened. He turns around, gets up, and they get into some kind of weird clinching fight. It was very odd. It's not the kind of reaction you expect from two guys that literally stand and bang with each other. So
it might have been
that was why a lot of people thought it was staged, because they did nothing to each other. It looked worse than what it ended up being.
I mean, I bet Mike Perry might have at first, if it was real, he might have at first thought like, oh, maybe this was like just from the audience, like a fan tossed this and didn't know he was going to hit me. And because he kind of seemed to have a delayed reaction.
He did have a delayed reaction. And it makes me think that he didn't, if it was real, he didn't know if he wanted to be that guy to like just get up in the middle of the TV and just walk off and just start a fight. But at the end of the day, it's Mike Perry. So like if he doesn't do it, he was Mike Perry.
He was like, wait a second, I'm Mike Perry.
Yeah, like if you don't do that, are you really Mike Perry though?
Where he's like, I can't let this stand.
Exactly. It's honor.
And now they're gonna make some money.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I'm here for it. And if it happens in Florida, your boy might go to one of these BKFC events finally. So stand by for that.
Yeah, man. BKFC, they're doing their thing, man.
Listen, I'm about it. I love it from time to time. It is a brutal thing to watch. It
sure is.
It can get difficult down the line, especially the longer the fights go, but it's a good time. Yeah. I enjoy it. But that's all I got for you guys. Welcome to your first Sphere in 2022.
Well, I
had
think
to end it like this. You know it.
Yeah.
You know I had to end it like this.
Mark, are you a bare knuckle guy?
Nah.
No, huh?
Like I can't really get into it. Like I'd rather just watch MMA or boxing. Like I don't need the bare knuckle. I really don't.
It should be clear that bare knuckle boxing is very, very different from a lot of the other fighting styles. Just because you're a boxer doesn't necessarily mean bare knuckle is going to work for you, because a lot of boxers will break their hands during bare knuckle boxing just because of the way that they're meant to fight and how they're used to having gloves to cushion the way that they throw punches and stuff like that.
100%.
So it's a very different style of fighting, which is why I like it, because it kind of gives opportunities for other fighters who are probably not good at boxing or MMA to shine. Like Julian Lane. Who thought Julian Lane would actually be a name that anybody was talking about in 2021 or 2022? But bare knuckle boxing gave him that opportunity. Mike Perry, Mike Perry, I don't think Mike Perry was ever going to be an MMA champ, but he very well could be a BKFC champ and make a ton of money.
Yep.
I mean, I'm about it, man. I like it.
Mike Perry is BKFC. Like, they couldn't have got a more perfect human.
Yes.
In every way.
Perfect for it.
I'm here for it.
Well, gentlemen, let us now jump into our rest of the show, 2022 year preview. And let us first talk about our must-see fights of 2022. What are the must-see fights that we want to see this coming calendar year? And guys, let us begin down at women's strawweight, and we'll work our way up in the weight division. So let's start with women's strawweight. Mark, let me start with you. I don't know how you guys want to do this. If you want to just like shout out one at a time, one matchup at a time. If you guys have more than one per weight division, I guess shout it out and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Not necessarily any huge ones in this division per se, but we have what looks like, I don't think it's been officially announced yet. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but we have what looks like Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza 2 on deck. So that's a cool one. It'll be fun to see if Rose can avenge that loss from earlier in her career. But more so, the one that I'm looking forward to in that division, even more than that, is the Joanna Weili rematch that Omar mentioned earlier. That was one of my favorite fights that I've ever watched. Those two girls absolutely went to war, and I will plant myself on a couch to watch that rematch.
Absolutely. Omar, what about you, man? Women's strawweight, what matchups would you most want to see this year?
So we should mention that Mark is an overachiever. Mark's got tons of fucking picks for all of these things. I have a few picks across a few weight classes. So Mark might have a few more picks than I do here. So I don't have one for
that much in school, but when it's about MMA, I do the homework.
I don't have a strawweight pick, but I do have a featherweight pick once we get there.
Okay. In terms of women's strawweight, I would love to see Marina Rodriguez. What's that?
I'm glad you said that.
Yes. I would love to see Marina Rodriguez match up against either Rose or Joanna. I think as a stand-up fighter, she can match up with just about anybody in that division. And it would be...
Or Weili would be dope too.
Oh, yeah, man. Weili would be great. Yeah, Rodriguez, she has crept up there, man. And she's sitting right there at number 3. And there are other ladies in this division who are probably more popular names, like the Michelle Watersons, even Tisha Torres, Amanda Ribas, especially Michelle Waterson, who seems like she sort of has been like a famous fighter for many years.
Ever popular, but she just got beat by Marina.
I know. And like Marina is just like, oh, she's number 3 in this division, at least in the UFC rankings. Excuse me, Mark.
They just booked Marina, I think, if I saw right, against Yan Xiaonan.
Oh, really?
Yan. I always forget which name is first and last.
3 versus 4.
Yeah.
So that's my pick. Let us go on now to women's flyweights. Mark, what do you got?
I got nothing here. I mean,
okay.
What can you really say? It's Valentina's division. There's no challenger that, like, that's on the come up that makes you say, there's a few girls who are kind of breaking through the rankings, but not in a place yet where we can say, like, we're looking forward to this fight. So there's no one so interesting that I can really lay out.
I mean, one that comes to my mind is that I would love to see Miranda Maverick run it back with Macy Barber and try to get back into the rankings.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was a close fight too. I remember not even agreeing with that fight. I thought Maverick won that fight.
Yeah, same. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Women's bantamweight. What do you got, Mark?
Yeah, you got the obvious choice here. It is the rematch that we're going to get at some point down the line, a few months here. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long. Hopefully it's by spring. But the rematch of Pena and Nunez, which will be enormous.
I actually do have one for this one. Aspen Ladd versus Miesha Tate. I know Miesha Tate's been talking all that shit, but at some point she's got to realize Aspen Ladd is in front of her. And if she does want the belt, she's going to have to fight Aspen Ladd at some point. And that fight is bound to happen.
Yeah. That's a good one too.
Now that the spell has kind of been broken, maybe a little bit on Amanda Nunes, I would love to see either Holly Holm or maybe even Misha make her way back to that rematch at some point, just to see how it would go, especially Holly, because Holly, her stand-up skills are so good.
Yeah, Holly's not far away. I mean, obviously, we know Nunez is going to fight Pena first. But if Nunez was to ever lose again, or even if she won, I guess, well, maybe they would do a trilogy. But my point is that Holly is like still right there in the mix. Misha has some work to do to be able to get there.
I didn't realize until recently that Holly hadn't fought all of 2021.
Yeah. Well, she was supposed to, remember, when Ladd filled in for her, but whatever happened, she got hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything for women's featherweight?
I sure do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's start with Omar on this one.
I want to see Kayla Harrison versus Chris Cyborg. That's mine.
Yeah.
I think once she gets to that point, then we can go into the UFC stuff. But like, I want to see her dominate Bellator and really fuck Bellator up. That's where I'm at.
Mark.
Yeah, I got a few that I thought were worth mentioning, that obviously being one of them. But first, it sounds like we're going to get Cyborg against Kat Zingano, which I've been wanting. It's a fun one. I'm sure Cyborg wins it, but it's still more interesting than what Cyborg has been doing. So I'm looking forward to that. And then, yeah, it's Kayla Harrison against either one of them. Give me Kayla in Bellator against Cyborg, and I'll be super pumped for it. Give me Kayla in the UFC against Nunez. I'll be super pumped for it. Either of those fights are huge. Obviously, the Kayla Nunez fight has lost some of its hugeness, as we mentioned, now that Nunez just took an L, but it's still a fight that can be made and that will sell. Especially if Nunez ends up taking her bantamweight title back, then it's still even bigger.
Okay. Let us now jump into the men's side of MMA, and let us start at the lightest men's weight at flyweight. Mark, any key matchups you're hoping to see that you think are probably going to happen this year and that you're most looking forward to?
Yeah, we got the one on the agenda, of course, which is the Moreno-Figueiredo trilogy, which is not my favorite. I don't really get why we're doing a third one already. I know some guys were hurt and it just worked out that way and whatever, but assuming Moreno is able to turn back Figueiredo again, I would really like to see the Moreno versus Pantoja matchup, knowing that Pantoja has beat him twice. I think that's a really cool storyline to see if Pantoja can possibly make it 3 out of 3 or if Moreno can right those wrongs.
Omar, you got anything for men's flyweight in terms of matchups you definitely want to see this year?
Yeah, so I don't personally foresee Davis and Figueiredo winning the third fight. And as a result, I would like Kai Kara France to fight Davis and Figueiredo.
Ooh,
that's a banger. That is a friggin' banger.
Wow.
I really feel like Kai Kara France has that kind of energy that CJ had when he was on the come up. That's sort of like, I could do this. I could overcome the odds that no one thinks I'm going to beat this kid. I 100%. I feel that. So I'm ready for that fight.
I really want. I'm not as much looking forward to this rematch between Moreno and Figueiredo. I mean, that's a lie. I'm going to watch the shit out of that. But
no, I'm not either. I feel you.
I'm more intrigued by the rematch between Moreno and Pantoja.
Yeah,
personally.
Mm-hmm.
Oof, that's a great fight. Great fight.
I wish that's the one we had on deck. It seemed like that's what we were going to get until he got hurt.
Yeah, it was Pantoja's injury that made it all kind of go to hell.
Yeah.
Also, Brandon Royval. I watched that guy fight his shadow.
You love you some Brandon Royval.
Yeah, but he's got to get a couple wins though. That boy is too reckless, man. He's too wild for his own.
He's must see TV, man.
Yeah, he is.
He really is. He beat Kai Kara. That's a great win. Okay.
He did.
Caught him, right?
Let's keep going. Men's bantamweight. Oh man, what a great division. Omar, go first.
I had Sean O'Malley versus Pedro Munoz. That's the one I want to see.
That would be a hell of a shot for Pedro, losing these fights to get another chance against O'Malley like that.
Yeah, I mean, O'Malley's got this thing at this point where he's going to be getting paid properly, apparently, and so we should expect him to be fighting so much more difficult competition at this point.
Oh, for sure. He's got to fight a ranked fighter now. That's over.
Yeah, I mean, he's ranked.
If he doesn't, people are going to lose their minds.
Yeah.
I mean, at 13, he has to fight ranked fighters, especially with his momentum of publicity. They can't keep throwing. They can't go the MVP route.
Yeah.
The UFC bumped him up to 12.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, where do you have him at in the pre rankings?
Sean O'Malley, 15.
Okay.
15.
Mark is
one
not
caveat
impressed.
is that I am yet to pull Faber from my rankings,
Huh.
who I probably should at this point because it's been 2 years now, and that's kind of what I usually work off. If we hit 2 years, I pull a guy. So if I had pulled Faber, O'Malley's actually 14.
Where the hell do you have Faber?
Yeah.
I have Faber 12.
Wow.
I mean, he beat Ricky
Uriah
Simone.
Faber?
He beat Ricky Simone in his last fight 2 years ago. Or sorry, second to last fight. Then he lost to Piotr Jan. But O'Malley hasn't done anything that would make me rank him above Uriah Faber. Who the fuck has Sean O'Malley beat?
Yeah.
But anyway, he shouldn't be in the rankings anyway. So
I
we'll
want to
call
see Sean
first.
O'Malley. I mean, my pick for this is Sean O'Malley versus literally anybody else in the top 15.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of ways you could go with him that are all fun. I mean, he
Oh,
really,
man.
that's what I'm saying. Like he has beaten guys, but other than Vera, which the fight ended super weird, you couldn't gauge that much from it. We haven't seen him against like a great wrestler. We haven't seen him against a great striker. We haven't seen him against, like, you know what I mean? We haven't seen any of it really, despite the fact that Sean O'Malley's been around. So any matchup you hear, you're going to be like, yeah, that's a dope test because we haven't seen any of it.
The only guy, I will say this, who really makes me worried for Sean O'Malley, for my money, would be Merab. Because Merab is just
you avoid
such
the shit out of Merab if you're the UFC. That's the last fight you
Thank
book.
you. Yes.
I agree with that totally. But I'm looking at the top of this division for my must-see fights for this year. Obviously, we're getting Jan and Sterling, running it back to settle their nonsense, which maybe is not the most exciting fight in the world. But beyond that, I'm praying we're going to get the one we've been talking about, which is TJ and Aldo. That fight will be incredible. I would love for it to be a 5-rounder. Even if it's not, I'll still love the damn fight. And then, yes, we've already seen Jan and Aldo, and it was pretty one-sided. But say TJ wins that fight against Aldo, and we end up with Jan and TJ this year, which is easily possible. That fight's friggin' incredible. That'd be one of my favorite fights in a while. So I'm really hoping for that one.
Oh, yeah.
The other fight that I wouldn't mind if they just happen to happen would be Aldo versus Dominic Cruz.
Oh, yeah, that too. That's
great
so
fight.
fun.
Yeah, I mean that's a fight. First of all, that no one, especially when they were both at their peak, ever thought would happen. I mean, that was just never even a thought that we had in our head. Okay. And here we are in 2021. They're both at 35, and this could totally fucking happen. And it
for that same reason, I would still sign up for Cruz and Edgar too. For
100%.
Literally that same reason. It's just one of those fights.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. The hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And while we're on bantamweight, I'm also looking forward to the entire Bellator Bantamweight Grand Prix. I think it's going to be dope. Where we may get a Pettis Horiguchi rematch at the end of it, depending how things shake out.
That's great.
I like the way Bellator does their tournaments, that the belt keeps changing hands.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
goes on. That's
cool,
kind of dope.
It's really cool. For my money, I would love to see Aljo versus TJ. I think that's a very interesting style matchup. But man,
that's cool.
Peter Yan versus TJ Dillashaw.
It's a perfect fight.
It really is. It's just two guys in their prime. It's just unreal.
So I wonder if we'll ever see Aljamain Sterling versus Merab.
Nah, they wouldn't fight each other, I don't think.
For the belt?
Oh yeah, they're teammates.
For the belt, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
For the belt.
These are the stakes we're playing at now.
You're
it's
right.
not like
maybe for the belt. Maybe for the belt.
For the belt, for the money, for sure. I think Ray Longo would be like, double payday, sign me up.
Ray Longo wouldn't touch that with a 12-foot stick. That boy would be. He wouldn't go nowhere near that fight. I don't even think Sarah would touch that fight either.
They might not corner either guy, but
no.
I mean, they're still their coaches.
Even if Aljo,
I don't think they would do it for that fight.
Even if Aljo did win the belt, like say he beat Jan, Merab would probably have to win a couple fights still to even beat him. So that's a little bit of a ways away from even being possible.
I just wonder.
But yeah, I mean, it could by the end of the year if things ever shook out that way, it could be on the table.
And then what if some crazy like Jackson Wink shit happens and like Longo goes with Aljamain and Sarah goes with Merab and
that'd be crazy.
Fucking weird.
I was gonna ask this: say Jan beats Sterling, and say TJ beats Aldo. Say neither one is like, oh my god, the most incredible thing, but it's like two clear wins.
Mhm.
and we're gonna get Jan TJ. Who do you think is the betting favorite in that fight? Probably Jan.
Jan.
I would think
Yeah.
Jan at this point.
Yeah, TJ's just so good. Like
He's good, but his wins are too close
Yeah.
compared to the way that Jan just kind of beats the hell out of people.
That's it.
yeah, that's why
it.
it's probably
That's
Jan.
right.
I agree. But what a freaking great division. I love that division.
Yeah.
Whew.
Literal firecrackers in all of them.
Let's jump up to featherweight now. Alexander Volkanovski is the king. Any matchups you guys want to see with him or anybody else in the division? Omar, what do you think?
I need Yair versus Zabit. I know
Woo.
Yeah.
I know we've like Khabib Tony'd this like at least 2 or 3
Yeah.
times at this point.
I think 3 times.
It might be 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, new year, 2022. Let's make it happen. Let's make it
It's
happen.
a dope fight.
That
dope
needs to
fight.
happen. It needs to happen.
Hold on. I think something happened. Yair versus who?
Yair versus Zabit.
Oh,
That needs to happen.
that's a dope matchup. I mean, UFC has Yair ranked 3rd and Zabit is not ranked.
Because he hasn't fought.
Did
in
I
so
miss
long.
something?
He
He
hasn't
hasn't
fought.
fought in so long.
It's been forever.
Yeah.
What did he have? An injury?
Multiple?
He had an injury at first, and then he like started to talk like he maybe wasn't going to fight anymore. And then
Oh.
whatever it was, however many, maybe this was like maybe 3-4 months ago now, Mark Henry made a post about how Zabit was back and the return of Zabit was coming. So I thought by now we were going to have a fight booking, but we still don't. But just for reference, like obviously he's unranked because he hasn't fought. In my rankings, he's 6th. So that's like where he was, when he left.
That's a great fight, man.
His last fight, he had beaten Calvin Kattar. So like the man is right near the top.
I have a slightly different angle. I would love to see Yair versus Giga Chikadze.
Oh, that'd be sick too.
Yeah, man. 2 great names to pronounce and 2 great talents.
Mine's a simple one. I am waiting for Max to freaking say yes. I don't know what we're waiting for. Give me Volkanovski versus Holloway, number 3.
Yeah.
It's really the only fight I'm asking for from that division right now. I need
It's got to
the
happen.
3rd one.
It's
I
got
need
to
the
happen
3rd one.
again.
Yeah.
Man, I so wish that Holloway, came away with one of those fights on the scorecards, because that would have made the trilogy fight so much more interesting, but it still is, must see TV.
Yeah. And on the Bellator side, if we are going to get a McKee Pitbull rematch, obviously I'll be pumped for that one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let us jump up to lightweight, gentlemen. We have Charles Oliveira sitting at the top, sitting on the throne. We have Justin Gaethje. We have Dustin Poirier. We have Beneil Dariush, who is now the UFC's number 3 ranked fighter. I'm curious to hear where Mark has him in his rankings. We have Islam Makhachev, as well as some other gigantic names, as well as somebody named Conor McGregor, who is still in the top 10 there. Mark, let me start with you. What do you foresee as being the biggest matchups in 2022 at lightweight in the UFC?
Yeah, so mine is just the little mini tournament that we are rolling into here. It's that we're going to see Charles Oliveira fight Justin Gaethje, which is going to be absolutely epic. We're going to see Islam and Beneil Dariush throw down, and then we're going to get the winners of that. So that whole story is going to be dope, especially for me personally, if it ends up at the end, Charles and Islam, just because I love that style matchup so much. As you guys know, my dream fight for years and years and years when Charles wasn't even in the friggin' rankings was that I desperately wanted to see Charles Oliveira get matched up with Khabib, just because I thought his style was like the best choice of someone who could actually beat Khabib. Now he's gone, but I could see it against Islam, and I will take that. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Nice. Omar?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with a lot of those, but my pick is going to be a little bit more out there. I want Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. That's kind of where I'm at there.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Fights with Conor McGregor at this point scare the shit out of me because he definitely could lose at this point. There was a time where you couldn't picture Conor McGregor really losing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you definitely can now with every
Oh,
fight
for
that
sure.
comes into play. So it's a terrifying fight, but that has the potential to be a straight banger. So I definitely want to see it.
Yeah, Chandler's a scary matchup for him, man. Chandler's so
That's
freaking fast.
And the wrestling is no joke
Yeah.
from Chandler either.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know how quick Chandler could get his back like in. Yeah, there's a lot of variables in that fight. That's a fun fight.
That is a fun fight, dude. I keep going back and forth between McGregor may never win a fight again, and also then, man, McGregor can beat anybody still.
Oh, I agree totally. I say this to people all the time, like people who think McGregor's done. If Conor is the champion again within 2 years, I will be none % surprised. Am I betting it? No. Would I be surprised? No. Like his skills didn't go away.
He honestly seems like he kind of forgot how to use them though. Because if you look at the way he fights, he's fought before that Mayweather shit. It's just he doesn't do things the same way. He's very different with the way he fights.
The original Conor was a much better version in terms of style of fight.
He seemed like he was a lot more complete too. His striking was a lot more complete. He was a lot more purposeful with all of his strikes. He was a lot more versatile with all his strikes too.
Karate Conor. That's what it was. He ditched being Karate Conor.
Yeah,
he's now a boxer. He's boxer Conor.
I was gonna say it's this fucking boxer Conor nonsense that's got going
100%.
on here.
Worst thing he ever did for his legacy. You know how many more dope wins he probably would have had if he didn't waste all that time doing Floyd and mess up his whole game. But for his friggin' life, it was the best thing he ever did.
Yeah, say his wallet would disagree heavily with you.
Right? Yeah, you can't hate on it. I've always said that you can't hate on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just real quick, also at lightweight. I mentioned McKee a minute ago at featherweight. McKee is mentioning it out of his own mouth now. We may also get McKee going up to lightweight to try to beat Patricky Pitbull, so he could take out the whole family, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't know if that would be 2022, but yes, I had that one on my mind too.
Yeah.
Okay. If there aren't any other lightweight matchups, let us jump up into welterweight. We've got Kamaru Usman sitting at the top, and obviously welterweight is still pretty stacked, guys. Mark, let me start with you again. Who do you see matching up in big marquee matchups at 170 pounds?
I feel like this is the division with the most. Like you could fantasy match make so many sick fights in this division, and we're probably going to get a lot of them this year. Like we're going to get, at least it seems, Usman versus Leon Edwards, which we've been wanting for a while. So I'll be into that one. Depending how that shakes out, we could finally get the teased forever conclusion of the Leon and Jorge rivalry. Put them in a cage. We could get Jorge and Colby, who hate each other, put them in a cage.
That's what I want.
These are all huge fights. You could even go style matchup wise. Like we could get Colby and Gilbert Burns. Like how great is that? And then the one that's flying everywhere today is Dustin Poirier moving up to fight Nate Diaz, which is a crazy fun fight. So there's a lot of ways you can go in the welterweight division for must-see fights.
Sidebar. I did forget to mention that Nate Diaz has responded to Dustin Poirier saying that his next fight is Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz says, and I quote, "I just talked to the UFC. I said, what's up with the Dustin Poirier fight? I want to fight ASAP. But they said Dustin sucks and they don't want it. Sorry, Dustin, you suck. Hope you have to fight ASAP though. Let's do this. P.S. Oliveira, you suck too."
Yeah. I don't even believe he talked to the UFC.
No.
I think he just wanted to tell Dustin he sucks. Like literally that's all the tweet is.
I love that he said that the UFC said that Dustin sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the P.S. Oliveira, you suck too. Oliveira sitting down somewhere. What the fuck did I do to you?
It's not even the division Nate fights in.
I think he just wants to fight. I think he just wants to fight McGregor for the money, for the payday.
Oh,
And
I think he wants
nothing
a Dustin
else.
fight. I think he
You
wants
do?
a Dustin fight. Oh yeah, I do.
And do you think
don't?
this is just weird, like a weird approach to like trying to, I don't know, negotiate for more
I think
money
he
or
just
something?
likes telling Dustin he sucks.
That's probably true.
But maybe I'm wrong.
I want to see Vicente versus Bilal. Now that Bilal apparently has his whole new goddamn skill set,
Yep.
I want to see Bilal versus Luque. Because now I don't even know if the size difference is that significant. He might be taller than Bilal, but some tells me Bilal might be just as fucking wide as Luque is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
They're big
Bilal's
boys,
freaking
both.
huge
Of
now.
He is now.
Yeah,
He's
I
been
don't
hitting
know.
the gym, man.
Honestly, I don't know what meat he's eating, what kangaroos he's ingesting, but that's a whole new Bilal, man.
Yeah.
Well, what else?
I
At
keep throwing in
welterweight.
Bellator late, but it sounds like we are going to be getting Yaroslav Amosov against Michael Venom Page, which is a dope one.
Ooh.
What is that? That's not a title fight, is it?
Yeah.
It is a title fight?
Yeah. Amosov took the belt from Lima.
Right. Yes.
And then Page just won that really close decision against Lima. So
Yeah.
Page Amosov.
For me, in a similar sense of Sean O'Malley down at bantamweight, at welterweight, for me, it's Hamzat Chimaev versus literally anybody.
True. We didn't even mention him this whole time.
It needs to be Neil Magny. Give Neil Magny.
Could be anybody.
Neil Magny knows what his job is in the UFC. Neil Magny's comfortable with it. He gets paid appropriately for it. Let Neil Magny do his job. Let him gate the keep. No, what is it? Keep the gate.
Keep the gate.
So let him do his job. Match him up with Magny. Let's see where he's at. If he beats Magny, he definitely deserves to be in the top 10.
I think he'd be a handful for anybody in the top 10. Because he's a guy, he cuts to middleweight and then somehow makes this miraculous cut down to welterweight. And he's just such a giant. He's like that guy. Who was that actor who passed away recently? Who was he was in Friday, and he also was a pro wrestler for a period of time.
The dude who played Debo in Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget his real name.
What was his wrestler persona?
I don't remember.
He was like this big juggernaut kind of guy.
But he wasn't like a big deal wrestler. He was like a random wrestler.
He was kind of random, but like they made him out to be like, invincible.
Yeah.
Something with a Z.
Lister Jr. is his real name.
Yes, his wrestling name was something with a Z, I think. Anyway, my stupid point is that Hamzat Chimaev is like that guy's wrestling persona, like at welterweight, that is. Like he just walks through dudes. Like what he's like
gone with like Goldberg and been a lot less obscure.
Yeah.
Remember Goldberg from our childhood went like 100 million and 0.
It's true. Yeah, way better reference.
Dude, how old were you when you realized Goldberg's like secret move is a fucking double leg?
His secret move?
It's more like
his like signature move.
He did the jackknife, right?
It was the spear. The spear.
The jackhammer.
Well, his finisher was the jackhammer. His signature move was the spear. But it's a lot more than a double leg. It's like a tackling you out of your friggin' body double leg.
It is,
man.
It is a theatrical double leg.
It's a tackle. It's a football tackle. Because
I remember, I don't even remember. It was like a few years ago, and I'm like watching videos, just random videos online, and I know like he's just standing there, like on his knees, and yeah, he tackles him, but I'm like, this is just a double leg, though. That's all it really is, just a glorified double leg. I never really
that could knock you out if someone did it for real.
Well,
absolutely.
Sure.
I mean, you're getting blown up in your sternum,
especially if the guy's like 300 pounds. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get back on track. This is my fault. I did this. I invoked pro wrestling. So let's jump up to middleweight if you guys don't have any other welterweight matchups. But at middleweight, we have Israel Adesanya, who in his failed attempt to jump up to light heavy, he is still holding the crown at middleweight. So Omar, let me start with you. At middleweight, who do you see matching up in 2022 that you think is must see?
Uriah Hall versus Darren Till needs to happen in 2022. I feel like at some point, I think we got shafted of that. And that fight definitely needs to happen. Also, part of me kind of wants Sean Strickland versus Kelvin Gastelum. And I'm not really sure why. I don't really have a good reason for it.
I almost feel like Strickland has already passed Gastelum.
Yeah, but like Gastelum at some point is going to want to work his way up.
And he doesn't have to fight everyone.
It doesn't have to be this month.
Yeah.
But I just want that fight. I'm just interested to see how that fight goes.
Yeah, you have to fight Kelvin Gastelum. It's like rite of passage. So
yeah, for sure.
Everyone has.
He's going to be the Neil Magny of middleweight.
Yeah, right. For me, it's just 2 title fights. I'll lead with Bellator since I keep burying them at the end. I really want to see them work it out where Yoel Romero returns to middleweight instead of fighting at light heavyweight. So I can see Gegard Mousasi versus Yoel Romero because I will love that fight.
Gegard will fight at 205 though.
Even if they did it at 205, I guess I wouldn't care. But I kind of feel like I want it to be for Mousasi's title. It would be cooler, but I'll take it either way. And then one of my most probably top, I don't even know, 2, 3 anticipated fights of the whole year is the Izzy Whittaker rematch.
Yep.
I love that fight. I've always said from their first fight that I kind of hated that Whitaker was out for so long with the injury, that he made his return right into fighting Izzy. That was such a tough task after not fighting in such a long time. I love that we're getting to see it again. I'm so curious if it's going to be any different, and I am crazy pumped for that fight.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Any other matchups for middleweight guys?
Nope.
All right, light heavy. We have Glover making his late career Cinderella run, capturing UFC gold at light heavyweight. We have some other, new blood at light heavyweight. We have Prohaska, we have Rakic. Anthony Smith is still highly ranked. Ankalaev is doing his thing. What do you guys think? Omar, let me start with you this time at light heavy. What do you think about light heavy? Who's going to be matching up this year? Who's going to be big matchups, big names?
Now, I have a feeling that Yuri is going to have a very good year. Yuri Prohaska is going to have a very good 2022. With that being said, I'm pretty sure that the fights for Alexander Rakic are going to be, for Thiago Santos, excuse me. So Thiago Santos, I know he hasn't. When was the last time that he fought? And he fought Johnny Walker during his last fight, and that wasn't even like the greatest fight in the world.
Yeah.
But I know he's still on his way up at this point, and so he's probably gonna have to rematch one of these guys that are on the come up. But Yuri Prohaska, I think, is gonna end up being the guy in 2022. And is he fighting Yuri next, or Rakic and Prohaska?
No, Yuri's fighting Glover.
Right. So if that does happen, then I think the fight with Rakic is the one I want to see next.
Rakic and who?
Rakic and Prohaska.
Oh yeah, me too. I'd love to see that matchup. Mark, what about you?
So yeah, it sounds like we're gonna have the Glover Yuri. Have they even announced that yet? I feel like I've heard Glover talk like that's already happening, but I think Yuri wins that fight. Who freaking knows? I don't want to put anything past Glover, but if Yuri does win that fight, I love the idea of a Yuri versus Jan Blachowicz matchup.
Mm-hmm.
That's a sick fight. So that would be my one that I'm hoping for at light heavyweight. And then of course on the other side, the finale of the Bellator Grand Prix. I'm very here for Corey Anderson versus Vadim Nemkov. I love that fight. Can't wait for that fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Arguably to determine the best light heavyweight in the world.
This is true. This is very true. All right, let us finally jump up to men's heavyweight. Actually, there's no women's heavyweight. That was a silly thing to say. Let's jump up to heavyweight. We have Francis Ngannou sitting at the top. Ciryl Gane is challenging him next. We know that that's happening. But what other, all-star matchups do you guys foresee happening this calendar year? Mark, let me start with you this time.
Yeah, this is the division with what you could call the most anticipated possible matchup of all, which is that we are going to see Francis and Ciryl. And is the winner of that fight going to fight John Jones? If they do, it will be the biggest fight of the year. I mean, maybe not numbers-wise if Conor comes back just because Conor's Conor, but in terms of what it means, that will be the biggest fight of the year. John Jones fighting for a heavyweight title. Does John Jones ever fight again? Who knows? But we could see it. And it will be awesome if we do. If not, we could get an Ngannou-Stipe rematch. If Ngannou's still the champ, we could get Ciryl Gane versus Stipe. So some other cool potential ones too, but that's obviously the big one. And then near and dear to my heart, the retirement fight for Fedor.
Mm-hmm.
If Ryan Bader beats his protege, Valentin Moldavsky, we will see Fedor and Ryan Bader, I hope, for the Bellator heavyweight strap in Russia, which would be dope.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Omar, what do you think at heavyweight? What's going to go down this year that
the big one that I want to see
is
the big one I want to see is the one we talked about last week, the Stipe Miocic versus Derek Lewis. Like, it's just crazy to me still that they haven't fought this entire time that they've been in heavyweight together. So that needs to happen ASAP.
That would be my pick as well. Well, gentlemen, if there isn't any other realistic matchups that you want to shout out, let us now slightly pivot and let's discuss and bring up maybe less than realistic, possibly a crossweight class dream matchups that you guys wanna point out. So, Mark, let me start with you. What do you think? What are you thinking? What do you got cooking up there in that brain?
So I got like a dozen here. I know we've been talking about these these fights for a while, so I'll try to throw a few at you quick, and then I'll get to my more like meaty ones that I'm curious for your takes on. Some quick ones. I would love for Dustin to go up to welterweight and settle the beef with Colby. That would be sick, and I think we could actually see that. I would love for at whatever freaking weight, Justin Gaethje and Nate Diaz to get in the cage with each other and just punch each other in the face till someone falls down. I think that's a dream fight.
Did you say Nick or Nate?
Nate, Justin Gaethje,
Nate.
and Nate Diaz.
Yeah, Nate.
No, not
Okay.
Nick. Enough of Nick. I would love for Valentina to go either way out of her division. I guess not really to fight Pena. That one doesn't thrill me. But if Nunez gets that belt back, I would love to get Valentina versus Nunez 3. I would also love for Valentina to fight Rose. I guess that would mean Rose coming up. But if we kind of get toward the end of this year and they're both still the champs, I'm not sure that Rose would ever go up, but I would be crazy into seeing that matchup. And then my last quick one would be Gegard, assuming he's defending his middleweight strap going up to challenge Anderson or Nemkov, whoever comes out of the tournament. I think would be crazy too. Some bigger ones that you guys could chime in on. 3 for Kamaru. I would love all freaking 3 of them. My number one. This is my number one on my whole list of dream fights, because I've lost the idea of my number one dream fight, which is Oliveira and Khabib, is Oliveira and Kamaru. Would Kamaru be too big? Maybe.
Probably.
But is he going to go to the mat with Charles? I don't really think so. He's going to have to strike with Charles, and I don't know how that's going to go. I'm not sure how much size matters there. So I would love that fight. That's my number one dream fight. But I would also love Kamaru going the other way. Him and Izzy would be amazing. They'll probably never fight. Him and Whitaker would be amazing. And Whitaker's a former welterweight. So if Whitaker ever lost to Izzy again, and he had lost to Izzy twice, who knows what happens?
Dude, that would be a great fight. Great fight.
Yeah. So those are my 3 for Kamaru, and then I got 3 for a different champ as well, which is Alexander Volkanovski. I was trying to get a little creative here. Some guys that could come up and fight Volkanovski, assuming he turns back Holloway again and he's kind of, Petr Yan versus Volkanovski would be awesome. Remember, Volkanovski's not a huge guy by any means at featherweight. And TJ Dillashaw versus Volkanovski would be awesome. I would love either one of those.
Yeah.
The most unique one I got is that every time I watch Michael Chandler, granted he's shredded, so maybe there's not weight to lose, but I always think, are we sure this guy can't be a featherweight? And if he could, him and Volk would be nuts. So that is one that I would love to see. I don't know how you guys feel about that. And then the obvious one that I meant to say earlier and I skipped is Connor and Max running it back. If Max came up to lightweight and we did that, that's great. That's a perfect fight.
Yeah. The only reason I hate that fight is because I think Max fucks him up at this point, to be 100% honest.
He might.
Yeah.
But that's my big ass list of dream fights.
Omar, 2022 dream fights. What do you got?
So we'll start off with the ridiculous ones that make no absolute sense at all, just because I was going through my MMA sphere and adding some crazy shit. So Dylan Dennis versus Ariel Helwani. Because why not? Right? It'll be the first time Dylan Dennis actually takes a fight in forever. So there is that.
Unfortunately, our boy Ariel would lose his life.
Yes,
I know what you're gonna say.
That's also true.
I heard your first name you just said.
What does it say it again?
Mark Hunt versus Dana White.
That
Mark
one
Hunt has
would not go
officially
well.
challenged Dana White and the Fertitta brothers to a fisticuffs battle as a result of the lawsuit that Mark Hunt recently lost, in which supposedly he has to pay the UFC lawyers and fees. It's like $300,000 or $500,000. I can't remember.
I think it was 400.
Was it 400? Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was a lot of money. So Mark Hunt wants a piece of that Dana White ass right there.
I miss Mark Hunt. That was my guy. Love him.
All right. On a more grounded scale, Rafael Fiziev versus Edson Barboza.
Oh God.
That just screams straight up violence to me. I don't know. That would just be so much fun. Unlike Mark, I would like to see Juliana Pena versus Valentina too, because again, Juliana shut me all the way up. And
yeah, I have no right to say I don't like it after what she just did.
yeah, like she shut me all the way up, and I have no right at this point to say that it's impossible for her to be Valentina, even though she's already lost to her once. It's totally possible that she could be Valentina at this point. So I kind of want to see if it'll happen. And if Valentina wins, she walks away with 2 belts. So kind of a win-win all the way around as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
man.
What do I got here? I had John Jones versus Ngannou on here because I didn't know how realistic that actually was. So my last one is going to be Pettis versus Benson Henderson 3. I think both of them are at a point in their career where this fight is just damn fun. We don't have to worry about killing anybody's career. We don't have to worry about title fights. We just have to worry about 2 guys with great legacies, good names behind them. Go in there and see where they're at this point in their careers.
I would love that.
Right?
It could work too. You know, Pettis doesn't feel like he's at the end. Benson seems a little closer. That could be a really cool retirement fight for Benson.
Not to mention, neither one of them seem like they really want to cut so much weight anymore at this point. So if both of them being at welterweight wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah. Fair.
That's what I got.
What else? For me, I thought of cross promotional fights. So I'm thinking UFC Bellator. So I would love to see AJ McKee come over and challenge for the featherweight title against Volkanovski. Or even against, I would love to see him match up against Max. That would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Also a fun one for me. Although I think the UFC side might be a little too old for this, but I think Michael Venom Page against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson would be hella fun. Dream matchup, man.
That.
Absolute dream matchup.
Yeah.
And of
Wonderboy
course,
wouldn't have to worry about the takedown. They would just be freaking going at it,
doing karate stuff, man, the whole time. And Musasi coming over and challenging Adesanya would be just incredible talent. You know, there's so much talent in the ring, man.
It makes me nuts that it feels like I'll never get to see that fight.
Yeah.
I want that fight so bad.
That's genuinely one that I would be terrified for Izzy.
Oh yeah.
That's a stylistically, that's probably one of the worst matchups.
He's so solid.
Wow.
Cool, man.
And that's almost like an old school MMA fight in the sense that like you have this mega star and then you have this other guy that like only the diehards know, where you're like telling casual people, you're like, no, this dude might win. And they're like, what are you talking about? Who the hell is Gugard Musuzi? Like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, no, like I really think he's gonna win. Like it's like that old school vibe where like diehards know what's up. You know what I mean?
That's a great point.
Gegard is a dying breed though at this point. I mean, how many more of people like Gegard that are from that era are even still fighting? And not forget fighting. How many of them are still this effective in the game?
Yeah.
Like he's a dying breed, man.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, for the next segment, I have something for you boys, and I have crafted something of a lightning round for the 2 of you. So I have crafted a handful of questions that I have styled as either yes, no, agree, disagree, buy, sell, whatever you want to say, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to feed them to you guys in a quick fashion. And I expect quick and snappy answers. So let us begin with this week's very special lightning round. Okay. Who is more likely to regain UFC gold? Amanda Nunes, or Wang Zhili? Mark, go first.
Ever or this year?
Also, I misspoke. Zhang Weili. This year, 2022.
Nunes.
Omar.
With a bullet.
Yeah. If I had to choose between the 2, I would go with Nunes.
Who is more likely to retire this year from their professional mixed martial arts careers? Stephen Wonderboy Thompson or Diego Sanchez? Omar, go first.
More likely, probably Wonderboy Thompson. Should retire, definitely Diego.
Mark?
I'll say Diego because I really don't think there's any chance Wonderboy retires this year. So maybe Diego gets trounced by Kevin Lee and hangs him up. But yeah, the answer is probably neither one.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor will fight for a title in 2022. Buy or sell? Mark, go first.
Sell.
Omar?
So
Oh, wow.
If the lightweight division wasn't so damn stacked, I could see him jumping all these people, but there's just so much that's gone on that he hasn't been a part of. You can't just jump all these people at this point.
Main reason I said sell is because if he did, it would have to sneak in late in the year because Charles has to fight Gaethje, and then it would, even if Conor came back and beat someone, it would really, really shock me if he jumped Islam, assuming Islam could beat Dariush. I guess Conor jumping Dariush wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world, but I kind of think Islam's going to get the next if he can win that fight. So it wouldn't even be till much later. So things would have to break right. So that's why I'll say sell.
I don't even think he's going to be ready to be in a training camp until Q3 of this year. And I don't think he'll fight at earliest until Q4 of this year.
Oh, really? Everything I was reading was making it sound like he's going to fight in the summer.
I feel like McGregor's always one win away from a title shot if he's not in immediate title contention. Okay, let's keep going. Francis Ngannou will no longer be on the UFC roster by year end. Agree or disagree? Omar, go first.
I'm going to go with disagree.
Okay, sorry. Disagree. Okay, both disagree.
Yeah.
John Jones will fight in the calendar year of 2022. Yay or nay, Mark? Go first.
Yay.
Omar.
That's a hard no.
The UFC bantamweight division has surpassed the UFC lightweight division as the best division in mixed martial arts. Buy or sell? Omar, go first.
Sell.
Sell it. Oh, fuck you. Mark.
So,
Okay. I guess I'm the only one buying that one. Fill in the blank. The non-UFC promotion that will have the best year in 2022 is blank. Mark, go first.
Bellator.
Omar.
Yeah, I would have to go Bellator just based off of the fights we know are happening already and are bound to happen.
Henry Cejudo will make a comeback fight in 2022. Buy or sell? Mark, go first.
I forgot all about Henry when we were talking about these possible matchups. I buy it. I think he fights this year.
Omar.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I'll buy it.
Okay. Okay, kill, marry, fuck. BKFC, Triad Fight Club, or Submission Underground? Mark, go first.
Oh, fuck. Oh, God.
What is it? BKFC, Triad, and what was the third one?
Sug.
I'll kill BKFC. It just doesn't do anything for me. I'll fuck Triad just because the matchups kind of interest me, and I guess I'll marry Submission Underground.
Omar.
Yeah, I'll marry Submission Underground. There's a purity there. There's an innocence to that child there.
Can't fuck Submission Underground.
Yeah, well, I'll fuck BKFC. Seems like a good time. You know what I mean?
Okay, I'll end on this.
I should do some weird shit to you. You know what I mean? And I'm definitely gonna kill Triad because fuck Triad.
Okay, multiple choice. Will be a tougher matchup for Kayla Harrison. Is it A, Chris Cyborg, or B, Amanda Nunes, or C, Juliana Pena? Mark, go first.
Nunez, but with a lot less confidence than I would have said a few weeks ago because Pena really exposed major holes in her game that Harrison can exploit.
Mm-hmm.
But I will still say she's trickier for Harrison than the other two.
Okay. Omar.
Yeah, I would have to agree that the recent events of the Juliana Pena fight have me less than convinced that Amanda Nunes can stop Kayla Harrison. So I think it's probably Cyborg. I'm gonna go down the Cyborg route.
Yeah, I think it's likely that I could see Cyborg or Nunes just, cracking Kayla Harrison, who's never felt any kind of power like that. So
yes.
All right, boys. Well, that does it for this week. This week's lightning round, the first lightning round of 2022. Yeah, it's fun. All right, folks. quick reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, leave a comment. If you have any of your own trivia or lightning round questions that you would love for me to ask these two fine gentlemen, please comment with your suggestion. Of course, follow us on social media at And New MMA Show in all the places. And if you want audio only, find us wherever you get your podcasts, And New MMA Show. Now, gentlemen, just a couple more questions to wrap up the year's first episode. Let's talk quickly about who do we think is going to be this year's breakout stars in the sport, however many there may be. If you guys have one per division, Mark, or none at all, what do you guys think? Omar, let me start with you. Who do you think it might be a breakout star this year in MMA?
So for me, I guess when I was thinking about breakout, I was thinking kind of at performances that casuals might end up seeing, people who are less likely to know about the people that we probably already know about. So I think Hamzat is probably going to get that performance this year. That's probably going to end up on ESPN or some kind of madness that people are going to end up knowing about. Adrian Yanez, I think, is going to have a very fantastic 2022. He had a great 2021. He's climbing up the rankings fantastically. Mark, do you know where he is off the top of your head?
In mine?
Yes.
23.
So he's 23 at the start of 2022, which means he'll probably end up, if he keeps going the way he's going, I would assume he ends up in the top 10, maybe 15 at minimum by the end of the year. So I think he'll have a great year. And I think a lot more people will know his name by the end of it. And his highlight reel is just going to get better. Giga Chikadze, I think, will be a big year for him as well. Another one that's kind of got to break through the ceiling of just the hardcores knowing him. He's got a dope name. I'm sure that name will travel once people actually get to see some of his fights, especially if he starts fighting some of the hardcores. Sean O'Malley. So hear me out for this one. Sean O'Malley is a very popular person. When I mean breakout in this particular instance, I mean his validity in the sport and in his division. Him fighting real people and top 10 fighters, I think, is going to give him a lot more credibility behind where he actually stands in the UFC. And that's my breakout for him is him actually breaking out of this, like, essentially sort of like this Jake Paulness, right? Where like he's fighting guys, but guys that really aren't on the level that we think he's on. And he's just kind of crushing cans left and right. But now we're going to get some real answers as to where he's at. And my last one, Mark's gonna love this one. Patty the Batty.
Patty? He kind of already is a star.
Yes, but he's a star just off of an introduction. Things can go south very, very quickly. I mean, no one will know who Patty is by the end of the year if he keeps losing. I don't think that will happen. I think he'll become a bigger star than what he is right now. I think the UFC will catapult him. We'll start seeing him on a lot more, things in the world, commercials and the like. He's a very personable guy. He seems like he's very fun, just kind of like how Conor was when he was, younger and just coming up in his days. And he's an exciting fighter. You know what I mean? He's not a perfect fighter. He's not a perfect striker by any stretch of the imagination, but he's a fun fighter to watch. He's effective. And I think he's going to have a good year. I don't think they're going to throw him in the deep end right off the bat. So I just think it's going to be a lot more of this building the resume and building the highlight reel. And a lot of people will know who Batty the Batty is by the end of the year.
Okay. Mark, what about you, man? What do you think is going to be who are you going to think is going to be some breakout stars?
So I took it to mean a few different things. Really just anyone who would raise their star significantly. So like people whose name you don't know, who you will, people who are like on the edge of rankings, who I think will contend for titles, someone who's close to a title, who I think will become like a dominant champ, and anyone who's going to like change their level. That's how I took it. So my main one, I tried to think of someone who people weren't really thinking about. And for that reason, I'm going to go with Tatiana Suarez.
Yes.
Tatiana Suarez has not fought in 2 years, more than 2 years, I believe. She's 5-0 in the UFC. She's 8-0 overall, one tough, 5-0 in the UFC. Her 5 wins, for reference, are Amanda Cooper, Viviane Pereira, and then we go Alexa Grasso, Carla Esparza, Nina Nunez. I almost said Nina Ansaroff.
And these were solid wins. Wins.
Like dominant. She dominated all these girls pretty much. Granted, this was at strawweight. It sounds like after all these injuries and medical issues she has had, she needs to come back at flyweight. So the size and wrestling will not be as significant of a factor at flyweight as it was at strawweight. But even so, it sounds like she's close to a comeback. And if she does come back this year with as hollow as flyweight tends to be at times and how much we're looking for a contender for Valentina, she's kind of like my almost dark horse breakout star of if things go right, if she's healthy, if she looks the same, where I think by the end of the year, we could be looking at a potentially huge title fight between Valentina and her.
Okay.
Beyond that, I got a bunch, so I'll try to do them relatively quickly. Yuri Prohaska, I think that he's going to beat Glover and turn back some guys and kind of become the guy at light heavyweight. So in that sense would become like a large star. You know, we don't know. We've only seen him fight twice in the UFC. Obviously, we've seen some fights prior against big names, so we don't know which way it's going to go, but it's kind of the vibe I have right now. Kayla Harrison, whoever she signs with, if she was ever to beat Cyborg or beat Nunez, she'll be enormous. She's already big, and that will just catapult her. She'll be the new face of women's MMA, to be honest. Then we get a little more down the line. Tom Aspinall,
Great pick.
heavyweight, undefeated so far. I love the guy. I love his game. He's so calm. It really hasn't felt like anyone can touch him so far. He's already, or at least for me, he's ranked in the top 10. I can't reference the UFC. I think he is.
He's number 10 exactly.
There you go, number 10. He's a guy, same deal. If he has a few fights that break right, the right type of performance, he could be in a huge fight by the time this year is over. Adrian Yanez, as Omar mentioned already, I don't have to get into him. Andre Muniz at middleweight, dangerous dude. We are learning, just taking people's limbs. You know, he's kind of at that point where he might get put up there with a name now, and he's like that kind of guy where the style, he could just break through and put some guys down quick. So he's a name to watch. Excuse me. Switching over to Bellator, Rafael Stotts. He is my dark horse in the bantamweight Grand Prix. If he was ever to win that thing, you know, over guys like Sergio and Horiguchi and so on, Patchy Mix, he would be huge. So Rafael Stotts is a potential breakout for me. And then I'll just rattle some off here. We'll get a little bit lesser known guys. Joel Alvarez at lightweight in the UFC. Really big for a lightweight, can strike, has nasty jiu-jitsu. He just handled Thiago Moises. I think that's absolutely a name to watch of a guy who could catapult himself. Manel Kape, who already kind of feels like a star. He's getting his career figured out. I wish my voice would stop disappearing every 1 minute. I could see Manel Kape flying into some big fights. Alex Pereira, the dude who KO'd Israel Adesanya in kickboxing. He's matched up with Bruno Silva at middleweight in the UFC. I think whoever wins that fight, I'm leaning toward that being Pereira, but whoever wins that fight could be a big deal in some big fights. The two Europeans, Omar mentioned one, Paddy Pimblett, the other being Ian Gary at welterweight. Pimblett, of course, is at lightweight.
Of course.
Two guys with real skills. Gary maybe on paper more skills than Pimblett. Pimblett definitely more of a star than Gary. I could see it go either way with either of those guys. Pimblett, they're throwing him with Cowboy ready, which is concerning me. But we will see. I could see either of them break out. And then my last one is Erin Blanchfield, who I'll be honest, I did not really know until I just watched her absolutely handle Miranda Maverick. So that is a name I'm watching for sure.
Yeah. If you weren't going to say it just now, I had just remembered about Erin Blanchfield.
There you go.
What I'm going to throw out there is Rafael Fiziev at lightweight. I really like his skill set. And I think even though lightweight is, as always, so stacked, Fiziev is definitely a guy who I can see him having a big 2022 and becoming much more of a household name, at least for the diehards. Yeah. And in terms of diehards transcending to the more casual audience, the more mainstream audience, obviously a guy like Khamzat Chimaev, obviously he's already a big star. He's a guy who the UFC clearly is pushing out there in his marketing. But he's probably not a household name yet. Like many casuals know the names like McGregor. Many casuals know the names like Khabib, even Poirier now. I think Chimaev is poised to be that next guy. It all depends on how his 2022 goes.
I would also add in there Mateusz Gamrot.
Ooh,
Yeah.
great pick.
That
Yeah.
dude had a good 2021, and I can only imagine 2022 is going to get better for him.
Lightweight
Sure
is
did.
so
Sure did.
stupid good. There's so many killers at lightweight.
And it
Everybody.
sucks, right? That they're all so good, and they all have to lose at some point because of how good they all are. So
Yeah, like
statistically, it's like no one's walking out of there undefeated. Even if you get in there undefeated.
You could make a
Yeah.
16-man tournament at lightweight, and there would still be names where you were like, oh, but this guy's got to be in it. Like, it's so
Yeah.
stupid deep.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy that Diego Ferreira lost to Gamrot. Like, that was a great fight.
Yep.
It was crazy that Brad Riddell had to lose to Fiziev.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And these
And
are guys who are not even in the UFC's top 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
What a
That's all.
division.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, that's it. That's all.
We made
It's
it.
not all.
It's not. What else we have?
We got to pick
Oh,
the
the
champs, my man.
Oh my God, the champs. How could I forget? I really thought that was it. But we saved the best for last.
Yes.
All right, folks. Let us pick who we think by the end of the year, by December 31st of this year, 2022, in each division, who will be holding UFC gold. Let us begin. Like we did at the start of the show, let us begin with women's strawweight. Let me pull this up. Women's strawweight, of course.
This is
the champ
strictly
right now?
UFC, just so the people are aware.
Yes. Obviously, the champ right now is Thug Rose Namajunas. So, gentlemen, do you think that by December 31st, Thug Rose is going to still be the champ at women's strawweight, or are we going to see a different name? And if so, who do you foresee being that name? Mark, let's start with you.
I went with Rose. There are girls like even Carla, who she's about to fight. Carla's live. Marina, Joanna, Wei Lee. It's a strong division. Am I forgetting someone I just meant to say? No, that was it. But if I got to bet on someone, I think I would still lean Rose. I just love her game so much.
Omar?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'm also going to go at Rose. When I look at the rest of the division, is it possible she can lose to them? Yes. Rose, especially with Rose having a tendency to be affected by outside factors and environmental things and whatever else. But I can't really predict that for the whole year. So on paper, she should beat every single one of those girls.
On paper, yeah. I mean, her last fight with Wei Lee was very close.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know, Mark, you said you had it for Wei Lee, right?
I did, not live, but on the rewatch.
Yeah.
Is she going to fight Wei Lee again this year, though? I don't know.
That's the thing. Wei Lee would have to do a little bit
Possible.
of work. Even if Wei Lee did fight Joanna and win, they're not giving her a title shot right off that. She'd have to beat someone else after that, probably.
So, right. Is it possible Wei Lee fights early 2022, then in the summer, and then gets a title fight by, end of the year? It's possible. But it just seems like so many things would have to fall into place. So I don't see anybody else really giving Rose that hard of a time. I see her beating Esparza in their rematch. So I'm going to say that Rose retains throughout the year.
Yeah.
Okay, let's march up. Women's flyweights. One of my favorites, Valentina the Bullet Shevchenko, sits at the top of that division as its champion. Omar, let me start with you. Who do you see at women's flyweight, 125 pounds, being the champ at the end of the year, if not Shevchenko?
Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
Come on now. You know as the Bullet. Shevchenko at this point is legendary status. I have no reason to believe that the only way at this point I'm going to pick her to lose is after she loses. And even then, maybe still not. Who knows?
Okay.
My point is, until I see something completely different, Valentina will always be the greatest, the number one pick. I will never pick against her.
Yeah, she's the John Jones of women's flyweight.
Yes.
At this point, she's the John Jones of the women's UFC fighters. Amanda
Yeah,
lost.
right now.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah, you're right. I mean, unless you want to pull some cute shit and go with Chukagian by the end of the year.
Oh, God, Jesus. You're just doing that to be a dick.
All right,
aren't
Mark,
you?
what do you think?
Just stab
Yeah,
Mark right in
put
the
me
back.
down for Valentina and put me down for Valentina on next year's show for the close of 2023.
Facts.
Okay. Let's keep going. Women's bantamweights. Probably a little more parity, a little more competitive here at women's bantamweight than a flyweight. So Juliana Pena now sits on top of this division, having just usurped Amanda Nunes for the bantamweight title. Mark, let's start with you. Who do you foresee as being the champion on December 31st of this year?
I'm gonna go Nunez. I
Okay.
can't not. I gotta think that's the first fight they're doing, that they're gonna do an immediate rematch. I'm gonna pick Nunez when it happens. I don't know who else would beat her, so I guess that makes my answer Nunez.
Omar?
All right.
Oh.
My pick is Holly Holm.
Wow.
How does this work? How does this happen?
So here's my MMA math. Juliana and Nunes are probably going to fight again. If Juliana wins, that opens up a clear line to the title for Holly Holm. I don't think Juliana's striking is better than Holly Holm is. And I think we've seen Holly Holm have a lot of success using her striking to keep people away from being able to take her down and things like that. She also works with a lot of great wrestlers in her own right. So she's not easy to keep down. And she's also a big girl for 135. So I don't see Juliana being able to kind of do whatever she wants with her. And I don't see her being able to pressure her and bully her the way that she was able to do with Amanda. So that's one. If Amanda were to win, we've already seen Juliana provide a blueprint as to what you can do to beat Amanda Nunes. I personally think Holly Holm has fantastic fight IQ and a good enough camp that with enough preparation, which we know she's known for, can deliver a good game plan that she will stick to win a belt against Amanda Nunes in a rematch.
Wow.
Okay.
There was a lot of thought that went into that.
I like it. It's the first bold pick of the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of the champs.
I will say, I have a feeling I could see something happening where Amanda Nunes pulls out for an injury and Holly Holm steps in and defeats Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
Could happen.
Stranger things have happened in MMA.
For sure.
The other name to consider in a scenario like that is Germaine Durandame, who just beat Juliana Pena. So she certainly would have a claim to fill that spot.
Sure.
Is she not retired?
Did she? Now I'm going to look that up.
Why I feel like she retired.
If she did, I did not freaking know that.
Oh, no, I guess not. She was supposed to fight Irene Aldana, but then she withdrew in September. Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there. I must have gotten her confused with somebody else. Now I can't remember who that was.
Okay. Let's keep going. Women's featherweight. Amanda Nunes is the champion, and she kind of is the whole division right now. Mark, what do you think? You see anybody else holding that belt by the end of the year?
I'm going to say Kayla signs with the UFC, and I'm going to say Kayla beats Amanda Nunes.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah, I mean, if she doesn't, then my answer would still be Nunes. Like if Kayla goes to Bellator, because no one else is beating her at featherweight.
Okay.
But I'm going to say she does.
Omar, what do you think?
I put LOL here. Just because like the whole featherweight division is kind of a joke at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think Kayla Harrison signs with the UFC just because from a business perspective, there's opportunities in Bellator. And I think for her specifically, there's more money to be made in Bellator than there is in the UFC. I think that Kayla Harrison has a lot of partnerships outside of just fighting and obviously sponsorships and all that kind of stuff that she probably won't be able to bring in the way she is now into the UFC. And at the same time, I think she'll have a lot more opportunities to get like just sort of bigger benefits if she's not the champion in Bellator. Not to mention they have more of a division over there. Like looking at the way that Cyborg was treated for the tenure that she was in the UFC, why would you want to risk that during the prime of your career? Because if they have Kayla Harrison waiting on the sidelines for 7, 8, 9 months because they can't find anybody to fight her, there's no point in even doing that whole deal in the first place. So I just think Bellator is just more equipped to handle a 145 pound division at this point, to really strike while the iron's hot for Kayla.
Okay.
I think the ideal scenario for Kayla, granted this involves waiting, which is not always smart in MMA, and it involves having to win, which is always risky in MMA. But I think the ideal scenario for her is going to Bellator, beating Cyborg, beating whoever's next. In the meantime, hoping Nunez beats Pena in the rematch, beats another girl or two. Everyone kind of forgets, and Amanda Nunez is Amanda Nunez again. You're the dominant Bellator, and then you come to the UFC and see if you can also beat Nunez.
Yeah. We want the Amanda Nunez that's like post rematch with Matt Serra. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how you make the most money. But again, it involves
Yeah.
waiting and hoping and winning. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, who you got? Wait, did you say for women's bantamweight either?
No.
Yeah. What happened?
Women's bantamweight, I see Nunez defeating Pena overall. I mean, I said that I could see a scenario happening where Nunez
You said that.
bows out for an injury.
So
and
featherweight,
maybe
who you got?
I see Nunez staying. I mean, she might not even fight for this belt throughout the year. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be gone. That could be the answer.
It could be gone.
That
could
was
be
sort of my guess. Was like,
exactly.
featherweight just goes kaput.
We ready?
Yep.
On to the
on. Men's flyweight. Okay, Brandon Moreno is the champion right now. I believe he is matched up with Figueiredo for their third match.
Yep.
They drew their first fight, and then Moreno, in an incredible upset, defeated Figueiredo to capture the flyweight title. And now they're having their trilogy fight right away. So, gentlemen, let's start with Omar here. Who do you see as being the flyweight champion by year's end?
I'm too emotional for this.
Yeah.
You already know. So it's gonna be Brandon Moreno. That's where my heart's at. That's where it's sticking. Let's go, Brandon Moreno.
Mark?
Yep. I'm with it. Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go.
He's so good lately. It's like how can you pick against the guy? I mean, there's names there, of course. He drew with Askarov. He's lost to Pantoja. Cara France is on fire. Figueiredo can't be dismissed. There's names, but I can't pick anyone other than Brandon Moreno.
My heart says yes. My brain says Figueiredo.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I think they're so evenly matched up. I don't know. I just see Figueiredo catching him and getting the better of him in this fight, and then possibly defending in the fall or something.
I think for me, Figueiredo is one of those guys that works off of the intimidation. He's like that, the god of war.
He is, man.
He's a guy that works off of the intimidation of somebody else and the reaction he gets from somebody else. Moreno doesn't play into that shit not even a little bit.
It's true.
Yep.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful matchup to see. I can't wait for the trilogy to happen. Let us keep going up to men's bantamweight. This is a tough one, guys. This division, the top 5, top 10 of this division is utterly stacked. And we have a champion right now sitting at the top of this division who many would say is not really the champion. At least he didn't take the belt from the champ in a very decisive way, that being Aljamain Sterling. And Piotr Jan sitting right there at the number 1 contender spot, about to rematch with Aljo very soon. But we also have TJ, we have Jose, we have Corey still, we have Rob Font, is incredibly talented. We have Marab, who's everybody's nightmare. So, Mark, let me start with you. By December 31st of 2022, who do you see being the bantamweight champion?
I'm going Piotr Jan. I have become a Piotr Jan believer. I think the dude's that good. I think he's the best bantamweight on the planet right now. Will it be really tough if we end up with him and TJ at one point? Sure will. My dark horse that I'm just so interested to see how quick he can move up is Marab. I really think he could give problems to a lot of these guys, but I'm gonna stick with Jan.
Omar?
I'm gonna go with Aldo.
Really?
I think Aldo
Wow.
could really Aldo. I wouldn't have been sold like 2 years ago, right? But he's looked so goddamn good lately.
If you're
And
going
Charles
Aldo,
Oliveira.
that means you would be picking him to beat Dillashaw and Jan back to back,
That's
or
correct.
Dillashaw Sterling back to back.
That's correct. I gotta be
That's
honest.
belief.
I wasn't impressed with Dillashaw in his fight with Corey.
Wow,
It just wasn't.
Wow.
He did enough. Dillashaw, at the very minimum, knows how to win a fight. Knows what he needs to do to win a fight. He's not new to the game, right?
Yep.
He knows what he needs to do. But the performance against Sandhagen wasn't like the most impressive thing that I'd ever seen, and there were flaws in that performance that I think Aldo would have capitalized on. So, Aldo is he's Aldo, right? He's Jose Aldo. On top of the fact that he's looked fantastic recently, and could this man really win another belt at a different division? I mean, you guys know about me and stories. You know about me.
Right. I hope you're right.
I would love it too.
Great.
I'm gonna agree with Mark here. I think as stacked as bantamweight is right now, it has a guy who has still managed to separate himself from the pack in Peter Yan. So I think Yan defeats Aljamain Sterling in the rematch and possibly defends later on this year. And we're going to see Yan sit right back on top of this division. Let's keep going to 145 featherweight. Alexander the Great Volkanovski sits at the top of this division. Omar, let me start with you. Who do you see being the champ of featherweight at year end?
So I got the Willies when I was doing this division, and I'm having this feeling that some weird shit's going to happen. People are going to pull out of potential fights, and people are going to have to slip in order to cover, and people might not think things are going to go down the way they're going to go down. All of that to say, I have a feeling Giga is going to be champion by the end of 2022. I don't know how.
That's a great pick.
But I really think that might happen.
I love that pick.
So he's the name I debated that is not Volker Max, but I didn't go with him. I will caveat this with saying Max needs to accept the Volk fight for this to be my pick. If Max is just not going to fight him, then then I'll stick with Volk. But if Max is, I've been saying all along I'd pick Max in a third fight, and I will stick with that. So I will say Max Holloway.
Oh, I love both those picks. I love that Giga pick, man, because he has just shown that he just ends dudes.
Dude,
his stand-up skills.
Those kicks are deadly.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I kind of want to go with Max Holloway to be the champ by the end of the year, to recapture that gold. And man, I want that to happen so bad. I love that guy. Okay, men's lightweight. Let's do this. Charles Oliveira, do Bronx. We have Gaethje, we have Poirier, we have Dariush, Makhachev, and others. Mark, let's start with you. Who do you see holding that lightweight strap by the end of the year?
It would be one hell of a road that he would have to travel, but Charles Oliveira all day.
Okay, Omar.
I am going to go with Justin the Highlight Gaethje.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I think he's the best he's ever looked in his career. He's literally just getting better. To be fair, so is Charles. This is the best Charles Oliveira we've ever seen. But the striking is just so vastly different from one another that I just see Charles sleeping him. Justin sleeping him. I really do.
I'm going to side with Omar in this one. I'm going to go with the guy trained and coached by the greatest coach right now in MMA in being Trevor Whitman.
Nice.
And that fighter's name is Justin Gaethje.
Wow.
I think he has truly reached a new level. And I do see him getting the best of Charles Oliveira in that fight. And I think Gaethje is going to be the champ by the end of the year.
So to pick him to close the year implies that you also think he would turn back Islam. You guys think so?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Why do you have to say that?
I do.
Yeah.
We know. Do we know that Islam would get the
no,
next
Islam would have
shot?
to beat Dariush, of course.
Okay.
But that's what's been implied, yes, that the winner of Islam and Dariush will get the winner of Gaethje and Oliveira.
Yeah, like I said, I don't give Gaethje's shit for what happened with Khabib. Like I'm not gonna hold that performance against him.
Yeah.
And Islam's very good. He deserves to be where he's at. But I just think that Justin will have the edge over him.
Okay, let's keep going. Men, I keep saying men's. That's so stupid. Welterweight. Okay, we have Kamaru Usman sitting on top of that division. He's the champ. He just had a fantastic rematch with Colby Covington. That is a fight that I could watch. I could watch those guys fight another 10 times in a row. We still have incredible talent at the top of this division. We have Gilbert Burns, Leon Edwards, Vicente Luque. Bilal Muhammad has arrived to the party. Omar, let's start with you. Who do you see sitting on top of the welterweight division by the end of the year?
Usman has been dominant for the majority of his UFC reign, even before he was a champion. And he's literally gotten better as a result of Trevor Whitman, I would think. His striking at this point is at a different level than what it was at when he first started here in the UFC. And I would only imagine he's going to get better. So you combine that with the fact that his wrestling is like grade A unstoppable. I'm going to have to say Kamaru Usman.
Okay.
I don't think anybody touches him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Usman too. I mean, he's another guy who's gonna have to walk a hell of a road to keep on to hang on to that belt because that division is littered with studs. But hard to not pick Usman with how he's looked.
Yeah,
Agree. You said it perfectly. I mean, yeah, him getting past Leon, Vicente, Bilal. Those are all. I mean, those no easy outs there. But right now, Usman is just.
And who knows if Chimaev gets up there this year? It's possible.
Yeah. But as much as Chimaev would be a tough matchup for anybody, Usman is the toughest matchup for anybody. Yep. I mean, that guy is just so good. He's so solid. Yep. He knows how to win a fight. And now he's unlocked incredible striking and power under Trevor Whitman. He's just absolute phenom to watch now. So going with Usman for the foreseeable future. And I think we are in consensus. So let us now go up to middleweight. We have the last style bender, Israel Adesanya, who is still the champ of this division. We have Whitaker. Vittori is still way up there. Jared Cannonier is a big talent, as well as other names. Mark, let me start with you. Who do you see sitting on top of middleweight by the end of the year?
So I think that this fight will determine it. Izzy and Whitaker. Derek Brunson is an interesting guy to me just because he keeps freaking winning and looking amazing. And I'm like, what's happening right now? But I can't pick him to beat one of those guys. So I think it comes down to this fight. I think Whitaker's an absolutely a live dog, but I will take Izzy and I will say that he's still the champ at year's end.
Omar?
Yeah, I'm also going to have to pick Izzy. Even in fights that haven't been the most exciting, I guess you could say, Izzy's still very conscious about making sure that he's doing what he needs to do in order to win a fight. I don't think that they'll have to, play that tentative game against Whitaker. I'm pretty sure both of them are going to come out, at each other swinging. But further down the line, if there are any fights that are a bit more challenging than one would assume, Izzy's still game enough to make sure that he gets around those hoops and ends up coming out with the W. So
I have one name that's interesting to be the title holder of middleweight by the end of the year. Adesanya has beat just about everybody in the top 5. He's beat Brunson. He beat Vittori. He's beaten Whitaker. I would love to see him match up against Cannonier, though I see him beating Cannonier. Same goes for Jack Hermanson. But Sean Strickland is a guy who I would love to see match up against Israel Adesanya. He's such a weird and pesky matchup for just about anybody. He has decent power for middleweight. He's never going to go away. And he's a psycho in there. He's a psycho outside of the cage, but also in the cage. And the UFC has him right now at 7th. If his year goes really well, I could see him, cracking that top 5. And then once you're up in the top 5, anything can happen.
Oh, yeah.
And if he challenged for the title, I would love to see that. And I don't know if Adesanya just walks over him, man. I don't know.
No, it's an interesting test. I agree.
Yeah. Strickland's another guy, though, that relies on the mental warfare. He relies on like talking shit during the fight and like all this other stuff. And I just don't think any of that's going to really affect Izzy.
Okay. Light heavy. Here we go. We got Glover. We have Blachowicz. We have Prohaska. probably a favorite pick of a lot of people out there. We have Rakic. What do you guys think? Omar, let's start with you. Who do you see holding the light heavyweight gold on December 31st?
I got to be honest. The only guy who's really impressed me in the light heavyweight division in the last like year or so has been Yuri Prohaska. His performances are just insane. And we haven't really seen somebody that dynamic and effective in a really long time. We all thought Johnny Walker was going to be that guy when he first came in, and then, he hasn't been doing as well as we originally thought he was going to do. But Prohaska has really lived up to the hype ever since he came over from Ryzen. And, he hasn't had a long UFC career, but the impact he's made in just a short amount of time has been pretty significant. So I just, against Teixeira, and it's not to say Teixeira couldn't hold his own and come out winning that fight, but Prohaska on paper just seems to be a really bad matchup for Teixeira.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Yuri. I think it's his year. The only other guy I considered was thinking that Yuri does win the belt and he's holding it. And then by the end of the year, Magomed Ankalaev works his way to the title shot and steals it before the year's over. That's a guy who should still be 17-0 right now if it wasn't for a last-second Paul Craig sub after he dominated Paul Craig almost the entire fight, who also keeps getting better. So he's really good. I almost went with it, but I'm going to stick with Yuri. I think he's that good.
That will be a great matchup, man. Prohaska versus Ankalaev.
Yeah.
We're probably going to get that at some point, maybe this year or next year. Who knows?
And
but
the thing with Yuri too is he's not. I don't think we're just going to get a win from Yuri. Like Yuri seems to pull out weird, crazy shit every time he comes out to fight.
yeah, man, he's a great watch, man. He's a great watch.
It's just so fun to watch and so effective.
Yeah, I agree. I think Prohaska is going to get that gold and not let it go for a while. I agree with Mark and with Omar. All right, we have arrived, gentlemen. Heavyweights. We have Ngannou right now holding the belt. Of course, he's challenging against Gane very soon. We still have a guy who many would call, at this point in time, the greatest heavyweight of all time in Stipe Miocic. Derek Lewis, the now knockout king in UFC history. Heavyweight's exciting right now. What do you guys think? Mark, let's start with you.
Yeah, it's fitting that this one is last because I honestly think it's the hardest. Like if I had to bet my life on this, I would be panicking on who the hell to bet it on because I think Ngannou Gane is impossible to pick.
Yep.
Then who knows if John Jones is coming back? If he does, that's impossible to pick. Even if he didn't and it was Stipe in there, like would it shock me if Stipe could beat Cyril Gane? Say that's the matchup? No. Like, Derek Lewis is it's a wild card. It's just heavyweight is crazy. Yeah, heavyweight could go a lot of ways. Right now, gun to my head, I think I'd pick Ngannou over Gane, even though I've been back and forth. And I just feel like I can't bank on John Jones fighting, even though I just said yes when you asked me in the lightning round. So I'm going to say Francis Ngannou.
Okay, Omar?
Yeah, I went back and forth. I'm definitely not living my life trying to figure out if John Jones is coming back or not. Forget that. But I was going back and forth on Ngannou and Gane. And they are obviously two very different fighters. One's very technical, one's very explosive and basically put your lights out if you blink improperly. I think that the growth rate between the two of them, that Ngannou has just had more growth within the amount of time that we've kind of seen them both in the UFC at this point. And I think with all the power that he actually has, like all the power that I'm sure Gane has, he never really seems to use it, right? Like I think we've seen him knock out like one guy basically in his title run at this point. Well, I guess Derek Lewis too, but that looked like like an eye poke that came from a knuckle that then proceeded to just, but JDS, like he beat the hell out of him into the ground. So my point being is Ngannou is on a different level. Ngannou launches people into space on like a consistent level. This is not like sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. Like 90% of the time he's killing somebody in the cage. So it to me is one of those things where Gane has to be perfect for the entire fight. And I just, with as good as Ngannou is, I don't see that being the case.
I'm going to go with Cyril Gane. I see him beating Francis Ngannou. I think what he did to Derek Lewis was a big litmus test and sort of a precursor to what we might see against Ngannou. I mean, he's so big at heavyweight with such incredible striking Muay Thai skills. I see him putting on another clinic, to be quite honest, against Francis Ngannou. I do.
Big Cyril Gane believer.
I am. I don't think he's the most exciting heavyweight we've seen. Yeah. I mean, truthfully, we have maybe the most exciting heavyweight we've ever seen going up against the not that exciting heavyweight that we ever seen, but a guy who's incredibly, undeniably skilled, who I think might just put on a Muay Thai clinic once again in the cage.
I can tell you this: if Francis Ngannou throws straight punches and doesn't spam a bunch of hooks, Cyril Gane's going to sleep. I promise you, Cyril Gane's going to sleep.
I think what's so potentially interesting is that it wouldn't shock me if we see that fight twice this year. Like, say Cyril Gane wins it, right? So he gets the better of him. If Bones comes back, everything changes. Timelines get all jumbled. It wouldn't happen. Just say, pretend Bones is gone. Say Gane wins it, and they do Gane Stipe. It wouldn't shock me if they were like, all right, we'll do Ngannou Derek Lewis. And then what if Gane and Ngannou win again? And like, I could see them be like, all right, it's December, November now. Like, let's just run that back. It really, like, that's kind of how I feel like the rest of heavyweight is like a little bit notch below right now.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Okay, well, guys, now that's it. It's over. We did it.
Boom.
We have previewed 2022. Now you guys all know who we think are the must-see matchups, both realistic and fantasy. And you guys also know who we think is going to be the breakout stars and who we think are going to be the champions by the end of the year. So hold us accountable. Get at us in the comments. Let us know by the end of the year in December if we were right or wrong. And of course, for our lightning round, if you guys have any suggestions for questions that you want me to ask these two gentlemen, please let us know in the comments. Let us know. Get at us. Follow us on social media at And New MMA Show in all the places. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you. And go ahead and hit that bell icon so that you never miss an episode. Gentlemen, any parting shots as we launch ourselves into this new year?
That is it for me. Happy New Year to everybody again. I can't wait till next week when we are back talking about real fights. Until then, cheers, everybody.
Omar?
Nothing really for me. Happy 2022. And yeah, I'm ready for some MMA. I feel like it's been forever at this point.
Yeah, man. A week without MMA is like a month without MMA.
It's like withdrawal.
Yeah, man.
All right,
folks.
Just about a month by the time it comes.
That's true.
3+ weeks.
That's true. Yeah, they gave themselves a nice little vacay.
Yeah.
Well, that just about does it. We will see you folks next week.
Dope. Peace.
Peace.